This next question, Jim, sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com.
I'm going for 3 today on you, pal.
This is from Ali Sabahi in Mashhad, Iran.
Oh, seriously.
I really believe this is from Ali Sabagi, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Ali, from Mashhad, Iran. Hello, Jim.
I can hear Khosrow now. I come from Tehran, Iran. Huh. I go to gym, work out hard.
Do you think he was insulted at all or just happy he got a paycheck when Vince says, I want to bring you back, but I'm going to make you an Iraqi?
I think he was probably just happy with the check.
Considering the long history between Iran and Iraq. But here is Ali's question.
Considering the long history between Iron Sheik and making any money at that point in time.
Before we go Bill Watson, get all geopolitical here, let's get to this question from Ali. Dave Meltzer has said that something huge and something big is coming to AEW, a huge star, and possibly it'll happen on September 22nd at the Grand Slam event. Last time Dave said...
I saw one of those blood runs cold spots. I know something big's going to happen.
Last time Dave said that Christian Cage is coming to AEW, and it was true. Now he is talking about a big star, and only 2 names come to my mind, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. What do you think? Who is more possible to ever join AEW between these two, and who do you think the big name that may be jumping or maybe appearing on AEW is?
Well, now let's just hold on, Cowboy, because for one thing, by the way, I saw Twitter, since I've been able to get back on that, somebody had the best statement on Twitter I've heard all month. Dave Meltzer got post-concussion syndrome from taking bumps on Twitter. Dave says things are big a lot more than he used to. I mean, he's giving 5 and 6 stars to TV matches or whatever the fuck, right? And a girls match got more than most Flair Steamboat fucking matches. And I think in his mind, he thinks some of these things are a little bit bigger when they apply to AEW than they would be when they apply to anything else. But having said that, I think the more likely, if either of the two can be considered likely, I don't even know if I would say that. Maybe the less unlikely one to show up would be Daniel Bryan. Because I can see him possibly being motivated by a large paycheck and also the opportunity to work in a new environment and do more of his own shit. I think CM Punk made his, and we already know that Bryan will acquiesce more to the entertainment side of things and is a little bit easier to do because he still loves what he's doing, whereas Punk has said he didn't want to be another guy doing bad TV, and I believe him, and that's what he'd be doing over there. So of the two of them, it would be Daniel Bryan, but I don't know that either one is likely because Bryan's wife is still under contract to the Evil Empire and in the family. That might be awkward at Thanksgiving and Christmas when, the Laurinaitis clan sits down if one of the members had absconded to AEW. But I mean, I think it's going to be somebody that if it is somebody, I don't know. I haven't seen the prediction by Dave. I don't know who it might be. It'll probably be somebody that Dave thinks is a big deal, but that many of us might go,
Well, let's pretend it is going to be a big deal because it is a big deal that they're running the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium in New York. They're advertising the hell out of it locally on WFAN, the biggest sports radio station in the country, right here in New York. Who knows what they're going to do? I heard from people this week saying they're going to sell out, and I said, that's the first I've heard anyone predict a sellout. It's going to be interesting. But
now, did somebody just say they were going to sell out, or are they predicting a sellout based on ticket sales?
I heard it based on nothing but buzz. Then I heard it from a couple other people, so it just says that people are buzzing about it. This is a big event. If Tony Khan really did want to make a big splash, and the person was out there to do it with, who do you think is still there that would be a genuine, to use the words here, huge or big surprise or big person coming to AEW? I mean, Punk and Bryan are 2 of the big ones. I think Lesnar may be bigger than both of them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Who else is out there that would genuinely be at that level? I mean, even if you got Austin to do something, he can't wrestle, so it's not the same.
No, it's not going to be Steve Austin. Steve Austin will not be appearing that night, or I will publicly apologize to Ed and also honk like a duck or a goose on the show the following week if Steve honk. I'll do that and apologize. I said I probably, had I not signed a non-disclosure agreement, I would have said to Tony Khan on the times that I did talk to him originally that he ought to fucking give CM Punk all the money that he wanted and then worry about everything else later on. But if Brock Lesnar is very mercenary, and if he was willing to just give him millions of dollars to do very little, I can see Brock might take it. I can see Heyman might say, you know what? Go ahead. For that much money, Brock would be bigger than anything else they could do.
Well, let me stop you right there. You think Brock Lesnar signing with AEW would be the biggest possible signing they can get?
I don't see how. Who could be bigger and that could actually wrestle? Yes, it would be shocking if they signed Steve Austin to come and do whatever, but he ain't going to wrestle and it ain't going to happen. They ain't going to sign the fucking Rock. He's probably booked that day anyway. There's a fucking flea market open down the road. So who else would be a bigger shock, a bigger box office attraction, a bigger splash than the biggest box office attraction that Vince McMahon has had over the last few years, which has been Brock Lesnar or John Cena?
I was going to say the top level would be Lesnar, Cena, and of course, and I don't think it's realistic, Dwayne Johnson would be the ultimate one.
No, that ain't happening. And Cena is not going to happen either, for fuck's sake. He is not going to, he doesn't need the money. He's not going to turn his back on Vince McMahon in a 20-year relationship and that is involved movies and I'm sure the Hall of Fame and blah, blah, blah. Brock Lesnar don't give a fuck for anything or anybody except himself. That's why I believe he would just take a large amount of money to do something. And he doesn't care about wrestling. He doesn't care about sentiment or nostalgia or history or whatever the fuck. And I would think Happy Heyman would probably say, tell Vince so that he'll offer you X so that you can get Y from over there. I could believe Brock Lesnar if he got several $1 million for very limited amount of work.
Would Tony sign Sable to get Brock?
I'm sure Sable would not even want to be signed at this point, and I'm sure Brock wouldn't want her to be signed. I don't think that would even enter into it. But the thing is, none of the people at this level need the money, and they also realize that if they do something like that and Vince views it incorrectly, or maybe more importantly, Stephanie or Triple H hold a grudge, they might think, well, Vince in a few years, but if they're pissed, they don't want to sacrifice that relationship they've had and that a guy that's made them millions of dollars they're tied up to he owns most of the catalog of their footage and the rights to market it. And they've done movies that have been released in conjunction with the blah, blah, blah. They're not going to blow all that off. That's why I've said, Big Show and Mark Henry have both said, Vince said, you know what? Go and have a good time.
Yeah, if we want to figure out who's going to be the next one, who was the last legend they disrespected? Because it was Christian, Mark Henry, and Big Show, and they all ended up here. Who was the most recent? Was it Flair? I'm trying to remember, who was the most recent legend to be disrespected?
Hey, you know what? We didn't say it had to be a wrestler, and considering Tony Khan's fandom and that it would be a shock and it's New York, woo!
Do you think Flair? I think it would be a good move for AEW because you get publicity. He's a great guy to have out there if he's in the right frame of mind talking to the press. He's on commercials. Everyone loves and knows Ric Flair. Do you really think Ric Flair would leave the McMahons?
Well,
he's lent Rick money in the past. He's helped him out. Rick knows he has a job there. He's tight with Triple H. His daughter is there.
Well, but Charlotte's bulletproof because she's on top. And they also made Rick look like a complete fucking idiot the last time he was on a TV with the deal where they were splitting him up with Charlotte and he was in love with what's he?
Oh, what was her name? She got pregnant. Lacey Evans.
And for the first time ever, not because of Rick. So... That's 2.5. So 2 3/4. So, I mean, I don't know, but if you're looking for somebody that would be a jaw dropper to put in the ring, it's got to be a Punk, a Danielson, or a Lesnar, or elsewise it comes off as, or something that to that audience might be. I mean, to that audience, they would go crazy if Onita showed up and wore his leather jacket and fucking got in the ring and hit somebody with a barbed wire baseball bat.
Okada would be a big deal. If all of a sudden Okada showed up, because they've had some of the other guys from New Japan, but not Okada. That would be a pretty big deal, I think, for a lot of people. But let me ask you this.
For the fans there, it would, but that would get them absolutely zero press, because if Okada came out in the middle of the Arthur Ashe Stadium, every single person in the stadium would pop and scream and throw babies. And if he walked out the front door of the stadium, the rest of New York City, not a son of a bitch could recognize him. So he's not going to get any press.
They'll get a lot of wrestling press, but what it means to anyone outside of that is another question. But let me ask you to tie this all up. If AEW got Lesnar or Danielson or Punk, and taking your personal feelings for any of the talent they're out of the equation, they have a booker who seemingly has a long-term plan in his own head for Omega as the champion. We all think it's leading to Adam Page down the road. Whatever it is, the booker has a plan, whether we like it or not. If you get one of those three guys, do you throw your plans out?
You think?
Do you instantly put the belt on them? Do they need a belt?
If your house catches on fire, do you run and grab a hose? You didn't need the hose a minute ago. You had perfectly fine plans for the afternoon. You were going to watch TV. You were going to cook some barbecue. Maybe, rub one out. The Four Sisters on Thumb Street. Those were your plans. But suddenly, the house is on fire. Now your plan is grab a fucking hose. If Brock Lesnar comes in, he immediately mows down everyone except the person that you decide is going to be the one to beat him in about a year. And you fucking find something for that guy to do where he's trapped on a fucking cruise ship most of the time when Lesnar's running wild. If it's Punk or Bryan, then you immediately say, okay, who are the 4 or 5 people that you want to beat on your way to Twinkle Toes? And then how do you want to make this switch? And how do you want to keep the program going? Otherwise, why fucking bother?
If you're going to get Brock, and Heyman doesn't have a long-term deal, do you try to get Heyman too?
Well, Paul Lee he's way too smart for that, because he's not going to. Remember when he made the offer to Dixie? Well, yes, if you give me part ownership in the company, then I'll come in and turn it around for you. That's because he knew that was something she was not going to give. That way he could be the babyface and say, well, I gave him an offer. I was willing to come in and fix it, because he knew it was unfixable and it would kill his reputation. So he gave them an offer they would not accept so that his hands were clean. He tried, but yet he didn't get put in a position where, it's not I'm knocking Paul, nobody else could have fixed it either. And so in this case, I'm pretty sure that he would be content to fucking talk to Brock on the phone and give him some fucking ideas from afar and still take Vince's money to work with Roman Reigns. I'm sure Tony could make a run at him, and I'm sure that Paulie would either figure out how to be equal partners in everything the Khan family owns or figure out a way to wiggle out of it.
Hey, Paul, how would you like your own video game?
Hey, Paul, how would you like your own professional sports team? I can see that getting his attention.
The Scarsdale Penguins.
Well, and they could all be wearing the tuxedo that Paulie wore with the tuxedo match. The little Scarsdale Penguins, here they come in their tuxes. Oh, Christ. Oh, help me.
Well, Jim, to take us away from all these hijinks, some of these fans attending this big stadium show, Arthur Ashe can't fucking talk.
Or Arthur Ashe. The Arthur Ashe Stadium will be
the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium in Queens, New York. That's coming up for AEW. Some fans may hear this segment and be disappointed there isn't a big surprise. They may think they were ripped off, lied to, misled by whoever it may be.
Malfeasance.
They may
Bait
want
and switch.
That's right. And they may want revenge.
They may want, well, no, we don't want them to seek revenge. We don't want them to get any type of revenge. No, what we want them to get, Brian, is compensated for their aggrieved injury, not revenge. And I can guarantee you that you may feel, however, folks, like you're getting revenge when you get compensated if you've had a grievous injury done to you, or some type of harm has befallen you, or you have been cheated, or hoodwinked, bamboozled, flim-flammed, conned, even, so to speak. There's one man to turn to, but not for revenge.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. He'll sue the rest.
Yes, that's why we often say get even with Steven, not get revenge with Steven. Because when you get even with Steven, you're just getting back to where you were before you were inconvenienced and thrown off your normal course of life, where you were free to pursue a happy existence of religious freedom and joy for all. Folks, Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084 can rectify legally any of your issues. If you've been one of those people that's been poisoned by bad groundwater caused by these chemical companies, or whether the defective earplugs that 3M gave our service members and caused damage to their hearing, people that were assaulted at the Veterans Administration Hospital. We've talked about those verdicts that are starting to come in, and Stephen's involved in, of course, all of the class action suits. He even got $50-something thousand for a poor old lady that State Farm was trying to jerk around lately. And we have heard now, this is the big news, and this, I've got to go downstairs because we just heard this as we were going on the air, and check Stacy's CPAP machine, those breathing machines. I know a bunch of people that Jim Ross has that. He said it can save your life. But now the Philips CPAP machines are being recalled for causing cancer. The seal around the mouth guard breaks down, and when inhaled, is not only shown to cause cancer, but Philips has hidden this. They've known about it, but they've hidden that knowledge for many years now, and they have been found out. And Stephen P. New is one of the warriors for justice that is about to bring them crashing down to reality on not letting people know about this bullshit while they continue to profit off of it. So, if you know somebody that's been profiting off of bullshit and you have been infringed upon as a result of it, Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. And, of course, he is the title sponsor for the big Bash in Beckley on August the 7th from All-Star Wrestling and our friend Gary Damron over there. And you can look up All-Star Wrestling on Facebook, or you could also look up the August 7th Bash in Beckley at the Raleigh County Convention Center, scene of some of my greatest triumphs and some of my greatest lawsuits, and get all the information on how to be a part of that. CPAP now. You can't even get a good night's sleep except if you're on a Helix mattress, but if you're wearing a Philips CPAP machine, you could be in deep shit.
You bring up West Virginia. I don't know why, but for some reason, after we talked about the Ghost and Mr. Chicken, several people, I don't even think it came up, emailed me that Don Knotts is from West Virginia. Like I said, I'm not disputing the fact, but I don't know why people started sending this to me.
Well, because you're so, Brian, you're so in the dark on when I got several actually tweet messages I looked through this morning when I got back on, and I got an email also saying that you are defective for when you answered,
"What?
I have never seen the Ghost of Mr. Chicken." When you said those words, you doomed yourself. They've got television all over the place in this country, and you've never seen the Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
You've never seen the Monster Squad. You've never seen the King of Kong.
Oh, but goddamn. The Ghost of Mr. Chicken had 30 years on those movies, which I'm going to watch.
When?
As soon as possible, so I get you and the rest of your supporters off my back.
The Legion of Last.
The Legion of Last is on me about Monster Squad and King of Kong. I got to make some time. But anyway, Don Knotts, fine man from West Virginia, just like Stephen P. New. Stephen's a little meatier, a little fleshier than Don was.
Do you like his other movies that he did in the 60s?
The Incredible Mr. Limpet. I saw that in the theater. That is another classic. As well as somebody mentioned The Reluctant Astronaut. I like The Shakiest Gun in the West. The Love God was really, it was a change of pace for Don, and I was not as big of a fan there. But The Ghost of Mr. Chicken stands alone, I think. Just for the cast and the everything came together. The script, the cast, the music. It's just magic.
And I know you love the Andy Griffith Show. Would you have preferred Don Knotts stay on the show and not make any of those movies? Or are you happy he left to make the movies?
Ooh, well, anything that got us the Ghost of Mr. Chicken, I will accept that.
Don Knotts leaving after 5 years got you the Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Got me the Ghost of Mr. Chicken. And then Andy only had 3 more years, and one or two of those was in color and just killed the whole charm of the thing.
That's right. Well, Jim, let's get some more questions.
But I'll never forgive them for the way they treated poor Howard McNear. Floyd the Barber. They kicked him out. They let him sit there for a while, but when he couldn't stand up, if you notice, after the first season or two, Floyd was always sitting. But then, goddamn, along came Howard Sprague, and Howard didn't fit.
You ever see on SCTV, Eugene Levy years ago did an amazing Floyd the Barber after Floyd had the stroke. Oh. It was pretty funny though.
Stop it. Things are not to be joked about.
All right, well, let's get some more questions.
We're liable to offend someone.
I apologize to the Legion of Floyd the Barber.
Howard McNear.